Hello everybody. I'll be talking about my Arduino Uno project mixed with Unity, in which we had to utilize several buttons, LEDs, and a speaker. I went through a couple iterations with this device, choosing different configurations for the buttons, the speaker, and where I wanted the LEDs to be. I wanted something out of the way of the player's hands, but also something still visible or not covered up by anything. I also wanted it to be as wired as cleanly as possible, maybe using as little jumpers as I could. But I'm pretty happy with the final result. This small breadboard doesn't have a lot of real estate. Ideally, I'd like to do 4 buttons in a cross pattern, and I just couldn't make that happen with this kind of hardware right now. Early on, when I first got button responses working from the Arduino device to Unity, I knew I wanted to do some kind of infinite runner game or 2D game akin to Super Mario Bros. I eventually ditched this idea just because I had a lot of problems with gravity in Unity and moving the character with physics instead of just translating it like I am currently. But I wanted to reflect this in the UI regardless, so I started making almost like symbols for the buttons that corresponded to the layout on the actual Arduino device. I changed this to reflect the configuration of the buttons every time I did, so this went through a couple iterations as well. I had most of the game mechanics in place. Touching the walls resets you back to the beginning. So I just started generating mazes in Blender using a plugin and coloring them based on their difficulty. Making the mazes in Blender was fantastic because I could really customize them, but the collisions were funky in Unity and it didn't allow me to use a nice convex mesh collider. So I had to build the collisions just with a bunch of boxes on the same game object, which wasn't bad at first, but as the levels got more complex, it became a problem. For future development, I would definitely consider it a more efficient way of setting this up and possibly even procedurally generating the maps. I also had audio cues for when the player had touched the wall or completed a level, but I guess the way I was calling them in my script seemed to break the way the levels were loading and halted progression. I did want to give the players a way to either pick a different player at the beginning, a different character at the beginning, some sort of amorphous blob. I was able to allow them to change the color of the player anytime they want, randomly, just to kind of whatever is suiting your mood. It's something I'd like to include eventually. I did make simple enemies that traverse vertically and horizontally through certain corridors. Touching them just resets you as well. I plan to make other kind of content in the form of pickups or items, other enemies or objects that you can collide with or that do certain things, like reverse your controls or slow or speed your motion or something. Towards the end of development, I was playing with small things like trying to create a chirp sequence when the device had boot up or when I had successfully loaded my Arduino code to it. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this game. It opened up a lot between connecting analog digital devices and getting and sending feedback to some game engines or editors, and that just feels like a massive step for me. So yeah, it was a great deal of fun and can't wait to do more. Thanks for watching.